Folks, you know I'm always getting the hottest people. People doing the dope things in Baltimore and Maryland. And there's nobody doing it better than this person in Maryland and all over the country, in my opinion. If you ever went to one of her events, it make you feel like you back in the 90s about shaking, like Puffy, shaking your tail feather and doing some things. The next voice you hear will be one of the biggest event producers in the state of Maryland and all across the U.S. And I'm sure she's done some international stuff. We'll probably talk a little bit further about that. And can't wait for you to hear the next voice of Miss Sonjé.
NoPixAfterDark podcast is fueled by Zeke's Coffee. Have you tried their coffee yet? I'm telling you, there's something different about it. Maybe it's because they roast their beans in a fluid coffee roaster, which provides the most accurate roasting temperatures and made with love. You will just have to check it out for yourself and try their delicious food while you're at it. Open now for curbside service, online ordering, carry out, and they also do wholesale. Visit Zeke's Coffee at 4719 Hartford Road. Open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, 8 to 5 p.m. Kitchen closes at 3 p.m. or visit Zeke'sCoffee.com and you too can be fueled by Zeke's.
Are you or someone you love in need of mental health support? For All Seasons is now offering same-day therapy appointments with no wait list. Through the For All Seasons Open Access program, you can walk in for mental health services and begin therapy in the same visit. For All Seasons accepts all insurances and provides financial assistance if you need it. For therapy, psychiatry, or victim support, we have appointments available today. Call For All Seasons 410-822-1018.
Welcome to the NoPixAfterDark podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Dante. Oh, I told you this is a great season. This season's called The Last Call. I want you guys to think about it. It's called The Last Call. So I want to thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. Miss Sonjé, how are you?
Hi, how you doing, Aaron? You good?
This has been in a year in the making for this to happen. Every time I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
I know. And you've got my clients on.
Everybody. I can put everybody on, but I wanted to get you on because you are the brains behind everything. You are doing so many great things. I want to give you your flowers. I mean, if it was Women's History Month, Black History Month, every 365, you were doing the thing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Just be in this space. I'm honored to have you come in and talk because you know so much. So let's talk about you. This is your show. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
So I'm from Guyana in South America, and my parents migrated to here when I was about 4 years old. I grew up in New York, junior high, middle school, elementary, all that stuff, right? From 4 years on to then going to Hampton University. Then my last year was at Stony Brook, which kind of really started my whole production thing. I was on my way to be a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer. I had interned for Bad Boy, interned for FUBU. So like, this is like at the height of like you know what I mean? Like when they were just killing the game. Biggie was out, Total was out, Faith, all those folks were out. So we were like rolling with them since we were like 17 years old. Wow. So you got to see them kind of like on the rise. Before like they became crossover artists. Mm-hmm. But we were like 17 street team, we was part of the Bad Girl street team. So when we went to Hampton our first year, we were like 17 years old. We were at the Palladium, we were at the Tunnel. We were like in the, just the melting pot of like hip hop at that time. We were there when Snoop Dogg and we were on stage. We were the Monks when Biggie performed and Puffy performed at the Source Awards.
Ooh,
I was a monk.
The Source Awards. And is that when West Coast was there? When Suge said?
So, when Suge was like, y'all got a problem with that throw? Like, yeah, we were there. Right? I'm like 17 years old there.
Did you realize that you were like in a really insane situation at that point?
No, not at all. We had no clue. We were like just so happy to be there. We're like 17 years old, like, yo, we're at the Source Awards, I mean, it was like the 95 was like the best summer ever for us,
95 was a great summer.
It was such an
for music wise,
summer.
95 probably is one of the best years. If I could have a birthday party for 95 music, that year, 95, 96 was just ridiculous of music-wise.
Exactly. So we kind of came up in that, especially growing up in New York. And then my uncle, you know, he lived with the FUBU guys, like, because he went to college with them. So I was like rocking FUBU. Like, people were like, what's that? I'm like, this is for as bias, you know? So people didn't know what that was. But it was, you know, it started as you look back, right? Like, my first party, DJ Envy and I threw. Envy and I went to high school together. Wow. So I was turning 16, and I was like, yo, let's have a party. He was like, all right, I'll DJ it. Another DJ who went to high school, DJ Mono, and I found a spot, and we charged people to come in. So that was like my first event, you know what I mean, at 16 years old. So when you look back on it, it's like, wow, like, look how it foreshadowed what I was going to become. But, you know, in my head, I was like, oh, I'm going to be an entertainment lawyer. That's what I'm going to do. And then leaving Hampton after 3 years and going to Stony Brook for my last year, Stony Brook didn't have the same flavor as the HBCU, right?
No.
So,
I can tell
I go there and I have like all this flavor from an HBCU from Hampton, and another young lady had she had transferred in from Spelman. So we kind of like took over the game when it came to like production, like producing all the pageants, all the fashion shows. Sorry, all of that stuff that we were doing, you know, and it just kind of ignited that bug in me, you know what I'm saying, for me to start like being a producer. And I interned for MSNBC, and after I graduated, my mom moved to Philly, and I went there, started working for Fox Philadelphia. That produced the, you know, assistant producer on a movie, and then I started became one of the youngest morning show producers of the #1 morning show in Philadelphia on Power 99 called The Dream Team. And so, you know, it just kind of grew from there, this production, you know, bug that I had. And I came to Baltimore after being, a couple years doing TV and radio in Philadelphia, came to Baltimore and started working on the Big Fat Morning Show. So I was an on-air personality, did the whole morning show gig, and I was also the morning show producer.
You got a lot of hats.
So, you know, when I came here to Baltimore, I was like, don't move to Baltimore. It was like Wire was popping, you know, so everyone just saw like a different depiction of Baltimore. But I was like, yo, you know, when I was at Hampton, DC and Maryland was just like a stomping ground for us because we wanted something more cosmopolitan. We were like in Hampton Roads, like, this is so boring. Let's go up to Howard. Let's go up to Morgan State.
Right.
So, you know, it was always very familiar for me, this area. And I was just like, I'm going to move down there because I really like Maryland. It's close to DC. Like, I love that whole vibe. I have so many friends that I went to college with, you know, because DC and New York just kind of like,
it's right there.
Yeah, it was right there. We just kind of connected while we were in college a lot. So I was like, I'm going to Baltimore. And I was like one of the best decisions of my life moving to Baltimore because the people here are just very authentic people. They are, you know, they have the architecture here is, I don't know, I'm a big architecture person.
Okay.
So like you look at those churches, you look at the streets, you know, the history. I'm a history buff person too, and how important Baltimore was, you know, during the colonial, you know what I mean, times. It was very, 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 very important, a big city, right, because of the port. So all those things like really made me love Baltimore, and then Baltimore just kind of embraced me. You know, it's so much Black wealth here and Black excellence that I just fell in love with the city. And people like Miss Baltimore, because I'm always like telling like people how dope Baltimore is when I'm in DC, when I'm anywhere, you know. And I bring people here from Atlanta, I bring people here from New York, and they're just like, yo, this is Baltimore. And I'm like, yeah, this is Baltimore. Like, I don't know what you have in your mind, the narrative here, but Baltimore's a really dope city, has great food, great restaurants, like dope ass hotel. Shout out to Juan, you know, with a GM, a Black GM.
Shout
you know
out
what I
to
mean?
Juan.
Have one of the top, you know, hotels in the country. Right. It's not like just in Baltimore, but in the country. So those type of opportunities don't happen in other cities. You know, it seems like it does, but it's not. Like, I lived in Philadelphia, and I felt like that was one of the most segregated cities, you know, that I lived in, where it was just like, Black people live here, white people lived here, you know? So as I said, like, I fell in love, and then, you know, I started working for Russell Simmons when I met one of his partners, who was part of the Simmons Lathan. They were producing stuff like Run's House, you know, Making the Band. Like, they were doing all of that production, and they wanted to do something, and they had this new on-demand channel, this new technology called on-demand, right? Nobody knew what that was, and it was on Comcast, and they had a hip-hop on-demand channel, and it was me and DJ Flad that like was providing content for this actual channel. So they were like, hey, I was like, yeah, you guys could come to my morning shows between here and Philadelphia, put you up with the folks in Philly, and you guys can tape artists while you guys are coming in. He was like, well, Sonjé, you gotta form your own company. You know what I'm saying? Because you're booking talent. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta form your own company. So I was like, oh, what's that? You know? I was like, all right, you know. So I said, okay, form my own company. And at that time, I was kind of getting a little bit tired of radio. Like, you know, I have to be up at 4:00 in the morning, right? And that is a wear and tear, you know, in so many different parts of your life. And I kind of was like, yo, I want to, you know, have my own company. I just started doing things because we had the #1 morning show. So folks like Mello and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and all these folks used to come on our morning show. And they were like, yo, can you do our events? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And that's how kind of it started.
All right, so wow, you gave us a lot.
I know. Sorry, I'm a radio personality too. Okay,
you dropped a lot of jewels and gems off the top.
Yes.
So, what happened to you wanting to be a lawyer? I mean, you always wanted. I mean, it sounded like that's something that you really wanted to be.
Yes.
What changed? What changed? Like, I mean, entertainment law is not bad either. It's a good pay. It's a good payday. But what was that? Was that moment when you're like, I think I'm better doing this than that?
So there was this fashion show called it was like this event called Black Women's Weekend.
Okay. At
Stony Brook. And I said this young lady, her name is Marissa Grant. She ended up working for one of being the top mechanics at only Black women mechanics at NASCAR. But wow. She worked for she was just an amazing person as well. And we were like, yo, we're gonna take this over. And we produced this fashion show. And I have people at Stony Brook who still talk about that fashion show, right? Because we just brought in all these elements and we put the whole production together. And as I said, like, that was it. You know what I mean? Like, and then this woman got me an internship at MSNBC, the Don Imus show. And I saw from the behind the scenes how things worked, producing tape and video. And I was just like, yeah, this is what I love doing. This is what's making me, making that your blood boil. You know what I mean? Like, excited me. So, and that was it.
That's inspiring though, because you're like, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Yep.
I'm not gonna go what everybody else wants me to do, or what my mom, daddy want me to be. This, I want to do this. What was the reception from your family? Like, let's talk about that. Family, what they say about that?
My parents are Caribbean, so
yeah. So I already know it wasn't right.
You already know. Like, I'm the morning show producer, the #1 morning show in one of the top,
markets,
markets, right?
Right.
Top at that time, Philip's top 4 markets in Baltimore's top 20 markets, right? And she was asking me like, when you gonna get a real job, a grown-up job?
Right.
I'm like making good money, one of the top, highest paid producers at that time in the radio.
And you're a woman doing it in
young
that
Black woman,
in the male dominated industry.
And she was like, when are you gonna get a grown-up job?
Wow.
Yeah, and I was just like, what?
Really?
Yeah, like at that time, like, I was making good money for that time period. I was making more than my friends were.
Right.
And she still was just like, like, what else you gonna do?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it though.
But I said now she looks at it and she's just like, wow, like, because of the opportunities. And I always tell young people, like, you gotta stay consistent. Like, you gotta, it's not, if everyone can do it, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And it's not easy. You gotta keep grinding. You gotta be consistent because people trust consistency. And if they see you, like, because there's so many people who's like, oh, I'm gonna do that, then I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna do this.
All over the place.
Right? Like, how can I trust you knowing that you're gonna come with your A game if you're doing this and you do a camera person, and the next thing when you're doing that, you do real estate over here. Like, you have to, when you want to become an expert of any type of industry, I know there's like a quote in the book, like, you have to do it a certain amount of times, you know what I'm saying, before you're considered an expert in that industry. So I can walk into a room and be like, boop, 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 boop. This is what needs to be done to transform this room and make it an experience for people. And that took years. And there are people who's like, I remember you were doing this by yourself. Now you got a team of 8 people doing this,
Right.
And people have to understand it. It's not easy. Only, when you look at the success, it's like, yeah, but you got to see my business for 17 years. No paycheck but the paycheck that I bring in the door.
Right.
A
lot, that's facts. She's spitting facts right now for all the entrepreneurs out there who think it happens overnight. It does not. There's probably a lot of nights you didn't know if a check was coming.
Yeah. Oh, no. And I started my business during the recession. You know what I'm saying? So I started 2007.
That was that was a height of recession. That was when the house market and everything went down.
Crashed.
All right. So we're gonna be right back.
Yeah.
Gotta give it a message from a sponsor real quick. We're gonna talk about her starting her production company and where she is now and what advice she would give to people out there who are trying to get into this industry, young people or whatever age you may be. It's never too late. But we'll be right back with these messages.
You give to United Way, your gift could be the first spark of something bigger. It can help someone find, interview for, and get hired for a job, and provide follow-up services for success. It can break down educational barriers and give that extra help to a struggling student with in-school support programs. Give today. Spark something bigger.
Hi, my name is Catherine Womack. I'm a former strategic intelligence officer with the U.S. Navy. I spent the last couple of years at U.S. Cybercom and transitioned from active duty after 15 years into small business ownership. I own and operate a digital marketing agency in the state of Maryland. So a lot of people approach me thinking that digital marketing is simply social media management or maybe doing Google ads or Facebook ads, things like that. But what digital marketing really is an umbrella term for a multitude of tactics to get small businesses found by the people who need them. I personally specialize in search engine optimization, website development with conversion architecture in mind. And what that really means is the people are going to your website and doing the thing you need them to do. And oftentimes it's requesting a quote, an appraisal, things like that. So there's definitely a psychology to website development, and we lean really heavy into the psychology of sales to get people to do the things you need them to do. A lot of times as a business owner, you haven't had the time to think about what your needs really are, what your challenges truly are, the sources of those challenges. I can guarantee you in most cases, it's not simply that you need an ads campaign, and that's where I can add value to your marketing strategy.
And folks, we're back with Miss Sonjé. Thank you again for coming to NoPixAfterDark podcast, hanging out.
I love the whole look in here, though. You got to give people the visual of where we at. You got different types of artists like who've created this graffiti and abstract art in here. So it's a vibe.
I try to make it homely. Can I tell you what I model this room off of? And you're gonna laugh when I say this.
What?
So growing up, what was the best hip hop show that was on BET? Big Tigger in the Basement.
Oh yes.
And everybody remembers that.
Yes,
everybody remember that spot.
Yes.
I didn't have the basement, but I wanted to make it comfortable. I don't have a booth. Everybody's at the freestyles, but I wanted when you come in, this is comfortable. This is home. I can talk. I don't feel like I'm in some dungeon or something like that. Just brightening up, colorful,
Yep,
so you talked about so many great things. Talk about how you were like wanting to be an entertainment lawyer, was working with Puffy, you were at the 95 Source Awards. When you look back, you're probably like, I don't even know how I survived all that craziness. You, Dan Hampton, transferring back to Stony Brook. I mean, you've done, and then it went to the hip hop with 99.1 Power.
So we went. So at first I went to Power 99.
99 in Philly, right?
Yeah, in Philadelphia.
And then you came down to Baltimore 92Q.
Yes, correct.
Then you're like, I'm booking people.
For Hip Hop on Demand, Comcast with Russell Simmons and Stan Lathan's company, and a guy named Will Griffin who ran it. Yeah.
And they're like, you can do this yourself.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you getting this, LLC.
Yep.
The business side.
Yeah.
'Cause there's two different sides of this. Let's walk us through this journey of the business side and the other side. Stuff that you became good at all of it, but then there's two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Give us a little background about that.
So people, as I said, I think with Instagram and social media, everyone wants to be a boss, right? And not understanding what a boss actually entails, and how running a company actually entails, and having payroll and paying yourself and paying your taxes, which most people don't.
They don't pay their tax. They definitely don't pay their tax.
Especially entrepreneurs. They're not paying themselves. They're not paying their taxes properly. They don't have a right team together. So those are all things that like really make a difference of like making your business sustainable, right? As I said, I started my business during the recession, so it was like looking and finding and marketing yourself. So I think like I'm really good at marketing myself. I'm really good of like, and I think that's what started, especially like during the time when I started back in the day, and like, email marketing was like so big, right? So I was using constant contact all the time. So everything that I did, I captured it and I shared it. And I had a list of people from New York to LA to Atlanta. So everybody was seeing like what we were doing, right? So I'll send out this email and say, hey, look what you missed. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. We just did this. We just did that. And I'd have people calling me from all out of town like, man, that looks hot. You had the most beautiful people. I want to be there. I want you to be part of this. I want you to do that. And, people don't seem like I use LinkedIn right now. LinkedIn is getting me business because people are seeing all of the events that I'm doing, and I want my corporate partners, and corporate people or decision makers who are LinkedIn. I'm using that as a catalyst to help like push my business, right? So I just got a really great call this weekend, like, yo.
I'm smiling. I'm laughing at my camera guy because we had this conversation. I said, I don't do it for the gram no more. No. Whatever you make is for LinkedIn.
Exactly.
We talk. I said, I don't care about the gram.
Yep.
LinkedIn is where it's at right now.
Decision makers.
Yes.
Decision makers.
And they are watching every move you make, and they watch everything you do on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And it's better. I'm like, gram is for fun and junk.
Yeah, for branding.
That's branding. But the real business is LinkedIn.
Yes.
Because they're watching, looking at what you're putting in. And what I say, every time we do our reels, I'm like, all right, we're going to put in LinkedIn. Make sure the music's right.
Yep.
Make sure it's something quality.
Yep.
Make sure it's something that when they look at it, they're like, I wish I was there.
Yep.
Like kind of like what you said. Yep. So what you're saying right now, but go ahead. Sorry, because I'm sitting here smiling like, I just said this. I just said, I don't even do. Go ahead. So LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So you're creating this vibe.
Yeah, I'm creating this vibe, and at that time I said it was constant email marketing. Right now we're like ambushed with a whole bunch of emails. But before it wasn't that many, right? So this is like 10, 12, probably 12 years ago, right? I'm sitting there and I'm like, everything I do, I walk around with my camera guy, take a picture of her, take a picture of this, create the scene, create the atmosphere, right? And I would just like push it out, and push it out. Hey, look what you missed. Look what this is, that, and the other. Where people were like, yo, I need you to create that same energy and vibe for my company. I need you to create this, and I started doing I was doing all the activations in Maryland for all of for the liquor company, you know what I mean? Liquor distributor, Reliable Churchill at that time. Now it's Breakthrough Beverage. So it, as I said, like as those things started to transpire, I was just like growing. So people were like, oh yeah, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And then also like understanding that there's different aspects of event planning and production, right? Okay. And only certain people have listened to me that have been successful. I'm like, yo, get your certification. If you just want to be a meeting planner, if you don't want to own your own company, be a CMP, be a certified meeting planner. So you can, that kind of like, just like there's a CPA, there's certain things in the event industry that you could get behind your name that will always get you a job, right? That people know that they can trust you. You can work in the big hotels. You can have all those types of experiences because you've gone through the process and you're kind of like, any certification like my NBE or DBE or SBE, like they know that I'm an official business because I've gone through the steps to certify and showing that I pay my taxes. I'm in good standing. You know what I mean? I run a legitimate business.
Facts.
And it's not just some, Joe Schmo off the street saying I do events. They know that if anything goes wrong insurance-wise, I have insurance. Like those are things that are important that you have to have when you're event planning. So people are like, oh, I'm just throwing a party. Like, so what if something happens and
something happens.
Yeah, and that's happened to me. You know what I mean? I had learned my lesson, and I remember I was like almost burnt down this school. But like, my caterer had left something, you know what I mean? And we were like tight with the budget, and it was like probably the day before, and they were like, yo, you need to get a one day, event insurance. And I was sitting there like, man, that's like $3,000, right? And I'm like, yo, I could probably pocket this $3,000 and put it towards something else, right? In our line item. And I was just like, all right, I'm pay the insurance. Right. Thank God I did. You know what I mean? Because, my caterer left certain things, blah, 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 blah. And we had an incident, so that taught me as an event planner, like, oh, I have to have insurance because you never know what may happen. And you don't want to be putting yourself in a position and your company in a position where you're getting sued because you didn't take the right protocols. You know what I mean? The right steps to having a good event.
Wow, you dropping jewels right now. You dropping jewels and gems. I don't know the people ready out there listening right now. So when you got all that insurance, you learned from a lot of mistakes. Did you ever have a situation where, now every business owner happened, you're not charging enough? Like you had a moment when you were at an event and you had to reflect, you had like that moment of clarity, like I should be charging way more than what I'm doing right now. When did you know that?
Well, what's funny is that, and that happens, right? Because especially with us, right? We sometimes don't have an uncle or a cousin or aunt that works wherever, right? So I'm just going to call up Uncle Bob and you could have an internship at so-and-so. We don't have those, right? We don't have those resources all the time. And my parents are immigrants, you know what I mean? So there's no Uncle Johnny's, whatever, right? Everybody came here and built their own stuff or whatever. So there's not this legacy, right, that people could call who works for whatever. So I had to kind of like learn as the way and meet good people and have good mentorships where I learned how to price my business, and people teaching me and saying, hey, this is what you need to do. This is the cost. You need to, learning how to write proposals, all those type of things I had to kind of fumble through, right? Thank God for ChatGPT though.
Chat, yeah. Facts. Chat.
But like, those are things that, I had to learn about, like learning what the MBE is, learning to get my GSA contract. You know what I mean? Like all those things I had to learn along the way, but I had to put myself in the room. I had to talk to people. I had to do my own research. Like when I was going into my business, like opening up another department, because I do promotions as well. So we do a lot of stuff for different clients across from Delaware all the way to Richmond, right? So my team goes out, does a lot of different promotional work at festivals and so forth. So that's another arm of my business that happens besides the events. So that's not like the glamorous events that you see, but that's a big part of my business of doing this production, this promotional work. So, those types of things that you kind of like, I had to for me to learn that business, I applied for a job, right?
Makes sense.
Applied for a job, went on site, and started talking to other people that were working.
Only way.
And I was like, hey, so you do this full time? Like, what do you do? Oh yeah. One guy was like, oh, I quit my full-time job. And this is why I just jump around just because I want the flexibility to be able to do different things and make money and do other stuff that I love. And I was just like, really? He's like, yeah, I have a different shirt. I put this on, put this promotional shirt, go work for this company. And I was like, okay. And I saw how the guy who was running it was doing it. And they told me all the different companies that do it across the country, and I was just like, I could do that.
Right.
I was like, I could do that.
Right.
And I started, you know what I mean? And I've been doing it, I said, that was probably now doing that for 15 years, right? So those are types of situations that you have to roll your sleeves up, you know what I'm saying, get down and humble yourself and do the groundwork. You know, like if you want to learn something, you have to do the groundwork. I'm always sitting there like, okay, let me take this class. Let me learn more about social marketing, social media marketing. So there's free classes from Google. There's you know, there's so many different things that are out there. GPT. I just got the certification, just learning some of the things around that. Like you have to constantly keep like developing yourself because things are constantly changing and you can't be stagnant. You know what I mean? And complacent with what you have. You got to keep growing and learning.
And you know, I view that just like I do the podcast. I remember when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just starting. And this is right before the year before the pandemic. And I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I got ripped off for like 6 months. Editing wasn't right. And guess what? I learned my lesson real quick. And sat myself down. I had a friend named Stephanie, sat me down for 8 hours.
Nice.
And was like, you're going to learn how to edit. You're going to learn how to Adobe this. Then I had a friend who was like, oh, I work for Adobe. Let me just donate to you for a couple of years.
Wow.
So I had all those things to work on and understand how to learn. So yeah, I could do all the stuff.
Yes.
And I know when I'm like, see something like, nah, that's not right.
Exactly.
And nobody can pull it over me now anymore. Exactly. And that's a great thing about it, you know. And I like what you're saying. You got to roll your sleeves up and evolve. So when I first started off, straight audio. Then I was like, man, a lot of these kids watching videos. And I'm like, how do I evolve and become part of that scene? And then people are like, now we see the face with the voice. We see how you are. We see how you are. And like you said, business-wise, now United States Navy reached out when I did Fleet Week.
Nice.
How they find me? Obviously, they were looking around. They looked on camera, saw the personality. Even when I was on Vice TV, how they find me? We know who you are. Your name was on a list. What's this list you're talking about? You're on a list. Don't worry about it. I'm like, but those are some things that you're saying. You gotta. People think, oh, you got them. Like, no, you aren't staying at night. So I'm staying up late at night, figuring out, emailing, hustling, trying to figure out what's the next move. What's going to be next. And I like what you're saying. You gotta roll your sleeves up and keep on educating yourself. So thank you for talking about that.
Yeah, no, it's really important. And I said, you know, you learn because it's like pricing. I was like all off with my pricing. Like, you know what I mean? Overcharge, you know, like, but so I was getting rejected. Things were not going past because I was like, the pricing was, it didn't look right. So I, you know, I had to learn that consistently, and I tried to bring my team along. Like I always, you know, we just did CBC weekend, killed it, you know what I mean? And we had one of the hottest parties. It was the first time Georgia, Atlanta did a party for CBC, you know, with those congressional offices. And, you know, shout out to Nikema Williams, Congresswoman Nikema Williams, and Congresswoman Lucy McBath that gave me that opportunity, you know what I mean, coming here from Atlanta and giving, you know, this opportunity for me to really show out. And you know, we just wanted to elevate that experience for folks, you know. And I said, we just talked about like the stage, right? That was in the middle of the room. And I had, you know, of course, I'm always inspired by other people. And I'd seen something similar, but it wasn't a stage. It was just kind of like, you know, the DJ space or whatever. And I'm like, wouldn't it be dope?
That would be dope to have a stage in the middle.
If the artist, you know, performed from that space where it's just, and the pictures now, if you see online, it looks crazy.
You know what, like the young kids say, it looked like a movie.
Yeah.
It looked like a movie. I don't like saying it, but it looked like a movie. I was
it was like a movie. So T.I.'s like in the middle, swarm with all these people around him, and then Kevin Liles is on there, and the congresswomen are on there, so it just looked dope, right? And it was different than any other event that's been at CBC, you know, and that's kind of what I try to bring in and try to even tell my team. It's like, you know, we come in with different ideas, we come in with different concepts, and just try to change the game and show like it's a difference when you hire that production company and you hire this production company, what we're bringing to the table.
Facts. My CBC party wasn't like that. The ones we weren't like that. I could say, I'm like, wait. Where was I now?
Come next year.
I gotta come. I wasn't ready. I'm gonna tell you, this is my first year going to CBC, and I wasn't ready. Like I wasn't ready for it.
Oh yeah, no.
Like I had to I had 2 days to reflect on what I just saw, and I was like, this is crazy. Like I wasn't ready.
Creme de la creme.
But that's now I'm like, all right, next year I already know what I need to do. I'm getting a hotel down DC.
Yep.
I'm down there the whole week.
The whole time. You know, because it's good networking, it's good business. You know, I've attended CBC for a while. Not the little preliminary, you know, surrounding ancillary events around CBC for different clients. But this is the first time I've done like a large scale for a congressional office party. But what I do, got those pictures, went to LinkedIn.
Boom. I saw those times, hey, I get it. I understand.
Went to all my social media platforms, because if I'm not hitting you on LinkedIn, I'm hitting you on the gram, I'm hitting you on Facebook, I'm hitting you wherever you need to be, so you can see like this is what we're doing over here.
I love it. I love it. So tell us, like you were telling me before the show.
Yes.
You got some stuff going on.
Yeah. I mean, we just finished CBC. Okay. T.I. Fabulous. Donnell Jones did an amazing job. For our events, and then we got, of course, the governor, Governor Westmore.
So this episode's coming out the week of this birthday party.
Yes, so we're doing his birthday fundraiser. It's a fundraiser, so you can buy tickets, support the fundraising for his campaign. Of course, he's always stayed campaigning. We did announce D Nice, so D Nice will be there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so he will be there, but we also have some other special guests.
Okay.
Can't tell you now because we
can't get exclusive. Come on. You remember the old radio days? We can't get that exclusive. Come on. But it's gonna be 3 days before it come out though. It's gonna be 3 days. But no, I know. You can't get exclusive.
Our governor does love hip hop, so just
I'm sure it's gonna be. So you got that going. See, it's hard for me to go to his events. So I'm gonna tell you why. And I get invited to all his events, yes. And I never go is because I don't want to come off bias. Okay. Because once you donate that $100, that $100 or $50, it's always in that realm of your name was there. Yep. Your name, you bought that. Yep. So that's why I don't really go to a lot of political things, because then they're like, well, you're biased. You can't. How can you interview him and you give him money? Yeah. And so I'm always, I might have to go. I might have to go to this stuff. I might have to have somebody buy a ticket. Y'all got media passes where I join. Y'all got media passes. Let me know.
But it's he's dope. It's his birthday. It's his 45th birthday. So,
you did a party. I'm gonna say it too. Chris Simon, I'm gonna talk about you.
Yes, whatever.
They on South Beach. I'm looking up. They on South Beach.
Star Island. Yes.
They on Star Island at Puffy's crib looking like. And they got Jadakiss coming out.
His property wasn't too far away. But
Jadakiss coming out.
Jada, yes.
And I'm sitting here like, oh wow.
Yeah, we had turned it up. We wanted to set the bar.
You have the talent that you're bringing here for these events.
Yes. So I
love that.
So, as I told you before offline, there's a big difference between event planner and event producer.
Right, producing, yes.
Right. And when I get in emails all the time, I want to work for you. I want to see. They
ain't ready for that.
They're not ready because they just think it's about putting little centerpieces on the table and putting out some linens and putting a band up there and that's it. Like that's not what we do. We come up with the concept from A to Z, right? We create, an event guide. We give the mood board of what it's supposed to look like. We have meetings. It's continuous. Like, I said, that's the way we do for CIAA, right?
It's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up as well.
Hold up. We just talked. Today I said, we got Sonjé here. You better talk. I said, if you want to talk to her now, CIAA is planning right now. They had the press conference today.
Yes.
I know what's going on. I already know what's happening. Yes. We talked about it. You got to get on now if you want to do anything. Yes. And I want to give you a shout out because, folks, she gave her brother a chance last CIAA. I did a great show, podcast. So thank you for having me. Yes. It was really inspirational. I invited a lot of young black men to that because I wanted them to see the experience of what's going on out here in the tech day. And people were blown away by the video. My video guy did the awesome recap, had the drone flying into the facility and whatnot. But people were like, why did I know about this? Wow, I can't believe you're doing this. And that really meant more to me because I want to do it for my people and want to do something. And that meant a lot more doing that event than most of my events I've done. Nice. And so I just wanted to let you know that. Give you flowers on that. Thank you so much for that.
Of course. No, at any time. You know what I'm saying? You've been gracious. You've been awesome. And I think, as I said, you find the importance of that, right? Like, because we have to lead by example, right? And showing folks like, hey, this is possible. This could be done. You said you know nothing about nothing, right? And
right.
You took the time to roll up your sleeves and learn and really just kind of like get better at your craft, right? Because that's what's important, right? People don't understand that this is not just a a trend or a you know what I mean? Like, this is something you take seriously and you put into your work. Like, people know how passionate I am about my events. Certain people, I'm like, if you're telling me everything that you want, then you don't want a Sonjé Productions.
Right.
You should just get someone who's just going to follow along with what you want. And I need to create a freedom to put my stamp and my brand on it and elevate. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I want your ideas and what you thought, but I'm going to elevate it to another level if you put the Sonjé Production brand on it.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, you elevate Seattle ways. that was next level elevation. I mean, I just remember that whole day, the whole events from like the welcome party, which again, mind blowing. I'm reflecting about all this time, and I remember, one of your first events. I was like, who was doing this? Oh, she over there. I'm like, I gotta know her. I gotta find out how. I gotta get in her, or I gotta get in her sphere somehow. Somehow, she gotta know who I am.
You hear though?
But we hear though. But it didn't take it, folks. It wasn't the first day. That's a phone. It wasn't the first day. It wasn't the second day. It wasn't the third day. It wasn't the first year. Second. It was the work you put in. And then she said, "I trust you with your work you're putting in to come and do work at CIAA." To me, that's huge because again, you're like, okay, everybody can do a podcast. Anybody can. For the most part, I can say that.
A lot of people have the personality. Podcasts are not easy.
They're not easy.
Yeah, they're not easy. I think people think like, oh, I just opened them because we did a podcast, and it's just it is the consistency that you have to have. Like, my life is too crazy for me to do a podcast.
You don't have time for it.
I don't have time.
You don't
like, we tried, and I was just like, I can't meet 6:30 every day on a Thursday.
But I think would be cool for you though is if you did a behind the scenes of what you got and like put it out there.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of cool. I think people would tune in something like that because they're like, this is behind the scenes of this is how we got to here.
Oh yeah.
I think
all of the drama.
but that's what people want to know. Like, what's the real deal? We see the glitz, but how'd you get from A to Z?
Yeah.
I think I'm fascinated by that. To me, in my mind, that's something.
And that's that we've. I'm always trying, and I've want to help young people be part of it, right? But it's just about finding, consistent young people who are gonna come on. When we put out the ask several times and not gotten the response that we need. So I'm putting it out here because a lot of people.
I do know a lot of people.
So any kids, you know what I mean, especially during the summertime, who want to come and like help volunteer, be part of some of the events that we do, like, we welcome that. We want you to see the behind the scenes. We want you to have an understanding what it means to be a producer. I know I have another meeting with the NBA, a panel discussion with the NBA Association here in the DC chapter. Okay. And that's about, it's going to be all about production, right? For them understanding like what it is to be a producer. I said this, you could produce trade shows, you could produce award shows, you could there's so many different levels of production.
And you've done award shows.
Yes, I've done award shows.
I did my homework. Listen, I'm on LinkedIn.
and I'm still striving because like working on the actual Grammys or the Oscars, like that is, you know what I mean? Like that's where the Shrek, I love American Music Awards. Like that is my thing. It's always been like on my list, or even the Olympics. Like I'm thinking of going to Olympics to see in Paris.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to see like that, the level of production that goes into that. Even the level of production of Beyonce's concert. I'm just like, do y'all understand what that takes? That is a lot of production, a lot of lighting and sound and choreography and stage and production. That's why your tickets are so high.
Right. People don't realize that.
Because you see how many things that she has on that stage. That's like 10 times more than any of her other concerts that she's ever done. Mm-hmm. So, people think it's easy. And then I'm like, I said, we were talking, I was walking in and I was on a team call.
Right.
And they're like, have some new folks, and they're just like, hey, I'm like, yeah, you have to, start at the ground level to understand what this brand is.
Facts.
Right. And understand that I can't just throw you in because you did some events, like
that's
you have to learn the brand.
Right.
You have to learn our aesthetic. You have to learn like the culture here. You know what I mean? And I was like, so if you don't want to do the ground level part, then
I get it. What's your guy's in your right hand guy?
Oh, James.
I always see him like, we saw each other back to school shopping. But I see how you and him work side to side, and I love
Patrice, it. And there's a lot of production managers that James, Patrice, they've come on board. They've been with me, and Dawn, who's my logistics manager, and Nicole, who's my administrator. These folks have been with me for a few years now, right? And probably, at least four, right? They've been with me for at least 4 years, and they have grown. Like, I was so proud of them this weekend because where I could come in late, you know what I mean, and things are done.
I love it.
Right? I don't have to be here,
turnkey.
Such turnkey where it's just like, oh, I lined it. So what do you think? And I'll be like, I think you should move it over here. And they're like, I was like, this is the logic why you should move it into here because it was like a green room that they had created for Fabulous. And then he walked me to another room, and I'm like, this looks more like a green room. But he said, but this has a bathroom. I'm like, they're not going to be cooped up in that.
No.
They need.
Right.
They would rather walk from there to there than be just
tight.
here. You know what I mean? Tight. And he's like, okay, makes sense. You know what I mean? And we go there and we get,
I love that.
And he understands that now. Like, this looks like what the space that he rolled with like 5 dudes. Can't be in no tight space with 5 dudes.
No, he ain't doing that.
Just drove down from Boston. They're
not doing that.
They're not doing that. So those are the types of things, little nuggets of knowledge that, Patrice and James and, people on my team, like, who value that and learn that because they've done different events, but they're like, not at this level. I'm going to learn stuff from Sonjé that I have, never thought, that I never knew. And, it adds value to whatever position they go on to, later down the line. So.
Nice. So where can people find your production company online? Yeah. Where can they apply? Where can they volunteer? Tell us where they can go.
Yeah, well, you can always go to my website and apply there, www.Sonjie Productions with an S.com. I'm on Instagram. You could always find me there as well. Same thing. And, just hit us up. We would love to have anyone who is college, high school, intern who just want to intern with us and learn, especially during the summer months when you guys are off, because I know it's much easier at that time. But we've put out that ask on social media and hasn't gotten the same response that we want. But, there's the opportunity for kids to learn if you're interested in production, if you want to see the behind the scenes. It's not easy. It's hard work. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to roll up your sleeves and say, all right,
I'm gonna learn.
We're here from this time to this time, just learning and soaking up knowledge.
I love that. And I'm going to do a quick speed round with you, okay?
Sure.
Quick speed round with you. What is the craziest writer you've ever seen?
The craziest writer.
Craziest writer you've ever seen.
I haven't really seen it. It was so funny. We just had T.I., and I was just looking at some of the stuff that he had, right? And he had like certain types of Starbursts, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, do they all be orange? Should they be orange or yellow?
But what was crazy is that she's in transition with his road manager.
Okay.
So they sent the wrong writer.
Oh.
So that was problematic when he came on site because he was like, his people were like, "Where's the costume?" And I'm like, that's not the writer. You know what I'm saying? You sent over, right? And they're like, oh my God. So, they're like struggling, like trying to find this guy. Is it Casamigos?
Casamigos, yeah, the tequila,
yes, you know what I mean? So they're just like struggling to find it. I'm like, we could have somebody run to the liquor store and get it, and it was like that kind of vibe because it's like, that's what he needs to go on, and I was like, yeah, that's the writer y'all said, but I'm looking at his snacks that he likes and wants and, but of course, but I said, like, same thing with, certain artists, they come in and they're not even touching it and they just grab the liquor or grab the whatever and, you know what I mean? Keep it, or they're people, you know what I mean?
They're people, it's for the people. So
it's really for the people more than anything.
Yeah, it's for their crew. That's interesting. What is your favorite season, summer, fall, or winter?
I'm a summer girl. I love dressing for the fall. Like, that's my...
Falls, I like fall.
The fall, you know what I mean? But I love 4th of July. Like, I love barbecues. Like, that, I love the beach and the water. Like, that to me is like, makes the sunshine. I love all of that.
Crabs or crab cakes?
Oh, crabs all day. I like rolling up my sleeves and getting to it.
Get dirty. I love it. And what's the most valuable, thing that you can tell people out there as far as advice that if your younger self knew a little bit better, what advice would you give somebody out there?
Trust the process, right? As I said, I was throwing parties at 16, had no clue that's what was going to be my career. That was just something that me and my friends, right, we went to high school together, and we was just like, yo, let's just throw a party, you know. Who knew that he was going to be DJ Envy, right?
Who knew?
Right? Who knew he was going to be DJ Envy? Who knew that I was going to be signed to Sonjé Productions, right?
You're big time.
Like who knew that kind of stuff that would transpire? But that was, you know, that foreshadowed what we're going to become, right? And as I said, you got to trust the process. There was hard times where I was like, my friend was right. He's like, remember when you used to call me up? This was like 2008. Like, this is so hard.
Yeah, but
this is so hard. And he was trying to figure out what to do. He had moved his whole family to LA, and I was just like, yeah, we got to keep going. He's like, he's like, yo, look at you now. He's like, look at you now, you know? And I'm like, yeah, you know, people, we just did an event with Westmore and MBE group, and the woman who did my balloons, you know, she was one of my first balloon artists, right? And she was like, so she's looking at the whole team, and she's like, she says to them, she's like, you know, she used to do this everything that y'all doing by herself. She was like, by herself. She's like, I'm so proud, like where this is now. She said, but she was doing what y'all fumbling around with. She did everything by herself.
And that you learned everything, and that's how you get better.
Yes.
And you evolved.
Yes.
And that's the key about everything.
Yes, I learned everything, every part of my job, like my, you know what I'm saying, my company, like different parts of my job. I did that all by myself. You know what I mean? So no one could tell me in my job, like, this is hard. I did that. I did that by myself.
I love it. Name this episode will be called Trust the Process. You just said it right there. Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Thank you, Miss Sonjé, for coming in, hanging out. NoPixAfterDark. This has been a great experience. Hope my listeners listen to this, and make sure you get tickets for that party. It might be sold out by the time it comes out, or for the birthday party. And thank you so much for your time, because we can't get time back. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Love, peace. Awesome. We're out, folks.
Never seen so many.